Rick and Morty Season 7 comes out in a month or so. It'll be the show's first run of episodes without co-creator and voice actor Justin Roiland, and to be honest, I'm more interested in this new batch of episodes than I have been in years. Let me tell you why. Rick and Morty's had to prove itself 3 times so far. First, in Season 1. This was a new show, a weird-looking show with an off-kilter aesthetic and sense of humor, and since co-creator Dan Harmon's previous project Community had never had the biggest audience, since Roiland was practically an unknown, this was in no way a surefire success. Season 1 was great. Before long it was recognized as such, but it had to really earn that recognition with sharp writing, a fantastic joke hit rate, and a pinpoint balance between heart and absurdity. And then Season 2 had to prove that wasn't a fluke. By the time the long wait between the Season 2 finale and the Rick Shank redemption rolled around, the show had done this, and then some. Across that sophomore year and in that gap, the audience grew, and grew to revere those first 21 episodes. So the brilliance of that comeback episode wasn't exactly taken for granted, but it didn't blow anyone's minds. It was great, but Rick and Morty was great, right? After a 4-month wait, the next episode came out, and it was good. The next one was Pickle Rick.
I'm a pickle! I'm Pickle Rick!
Also good. We got a lot of good episodes that year, but not quite so many great ones as before. When Season 4 rolled around, it gave us a few real highlights, sandwiched up against the lowest lows yet. Season 5 eased off on those highs and dug the lows even lower.
Do you know you came from me? I'm Morty. I'll call you Sticky.
But statistically and in terms of cultural relevance, this was still an imperial period. This was one of the biggest shows in the world. The first 2, maybe 3 seasons had made it so, had climbed that hill. And ever since, well, the show hadn't fallen off, not really, but it certainly hadn't kept climbing either. By the end of Season 5, this running out of steam was starting to show, but as I discussed in a video last year, Season 6 found the show shaking off dust. The first few episodes in particular seemed to very consciously use Rick in a more reactive, less power-creeped way, a way that felt nearer the show's early years, and Season 6 rode that shake-up to a consistently successful set of stories. Season 1 proved that Rick and Morty had something, Season 2 that it wasn't a fluke, and Season 6 that Rick and Morty still had it. But even as that 6th season wound down, I remember thinking, okay, great. Rick and Morty's got its consistency, its identity, its groove back. What now? We'll never know quite what the answer to that would have been, because shortly after that season's finale, news broke. Roiland, co-creator, voice actor, was, allegedly, a piece of shit abuser, and Rick and Morty would be continuing without him. Since then, the legal charges against him have been dropped, but a whole bunch of other accusations have come out, some made publicly and some from anonymous sources within the Rick and Morty camp. I, of course, can't speak to the veracity of the now dropped abuse charges, but I will say that that's a lot of smoke, and you know what they say about smoke vis-a-vis fire. So it's good that he's gone from the show. It's good that he won't be there to contribute toxicity to the environment. It's good that he's not endangering the jobs of the many innocent Rick and Morty contributors by staying on and having the show risk total cancellation. It's good that an allegedly nasty guy is actually seeing some professional and reputational consequences for once. But separate from the morality of Roiland's exit, from Royal Exit, can we make that the thing? Can that be the name? I think this may well have been a blessing in disguise for the show's last 4 seasons. Not because I didn't like what Roiland brought to the show. I actually did. Bad people can make good art. I really dug the wacky, zany, oddball energy of Season 1, which seems to have been his major contribution aside from those voices. No, but because now, Rick and Morty has to show the world that continuing was the right choice, that it can be good, can be great without one of its creators. Now, according to sources, it is true that Roiland's had less and less to do with the show outside the vocal booth in recent years, so the day-to-day of Season 7's development won't have looked that different, but it is also true that most of the world, most Rick and Morty viewers even, won't know that, haven't looked into the details of Royal Exit. Yes, we are going with that name. They've just heard that one of the co-creators, one of the show's biggest creative voices, literally is gone. So now, Rick and Morty, or rather Dan Harmon, has something to prove again. I, of course, don't mean to suggest that anyone involved was just coasting before this, but I think we're all familiar with that extra level you can only tap into when you know you really need to. And in a sense, that's where Harmon is. After a shakeup, after a messy departure, he has to prove that his touch, his voice, his chosen writers were and are the key here, that the ship can be righted. And that isn't the first time he's had to do this. Harmon was dropped unceremoniously from that aforementioned previous show, Community, replaced as showrunner by studio-picked duo Moses Port and David Garasico, whose 13-episode tenure on the show was and is widely regarded as a catastrophe. It's not all bad, we've talked about that on this channel before, but one thing's for sure. When Harmon was brought back to helm a 5th season of the show, he had everything to prove. Most of the writers from the early years had left by this point, and certain members of the core cast weren't far behind them. But against all odds, Season 5 was good. Maybe not the best Community had ever been, but it was Community again, and fantastic episodes like Cooperative Polygraphy and App Development and Condiments followed. The show only got one more season after this, but Community's last 2 years aren't just an epilogue, a once great project trailing off. The 26 episodes between the start of Season 5, whose premiere was literally called Repilot, and Season 6's Emotional Consequences of Broadcast Television, mark a distinct and distinctly successful final era. Jeff is a teacher now, the study group is replaced by the Save Greendale Committee, and Frankie Dart graces our screens for a whole season.
Would you say I'm a level 7 susceptible?
No, because why would I? Because that's Moon Man talk.
It's hard to say how the potential seasons 5 and 6 would have looked in a world where Harmon wasn't sacked and brought back, where the show's production had been smooth sailing throughout those last 3 years. Maybe they would have been better, but I'm not sure.
I might be broke, desperate, and nearly homeless, but I still got one thing deep down inside that gives me power. That was it. That was all I had.
There's a real vigor in episodes like Repilot, which wrestle metatextually with the collapse of Season 4, and have to almost drag the show back together. Community had to prove itself, had to prove there was still enough of it left, and it pulled that off, and then some. Obviously, the circumstances are very different here with Rick and Morty. Harmon wasn't thrown out, there's continuity with the rest of the show's personnel, and far less seems to have changed in the behind-the-scenes day-to-day, but I think there are echoes of that calamity to be seen here, and I don't see why Harmon can't do it again, can't lead the cast and the crew of the show to prove a Roilandless Rick and Morty is still Rick and Morty, and is still great. And in the process of that proving, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see Rick and Morty get a shot in the arm, figure out that What Now Season 6 never quite did. This may well end up being the thing that stops Rick and Morty from plateauing or stagnating in its last few seasons like so many other shows have. So I'm really excited to see how Season 7 moves past this mess, and I'm glad it has to. Roilexit was a good move. Not because I think it'll make the show better, because it was the right thing to do. It just might end up doing that as well. That's my take anyway. Don't hesitate to let me know yours down below. Do you think this video is going to age like wine or like concrete? That's a little topical humor for my British viewers. Oh, and by the way, just so you all know, I've now enabled YouTube memberships for this channel. So if any of you want to help support the channel but prefer to do so without, setting up a Patreon account or anything, please do consider joining up. But thanks for watching, and an extra special thank you to all of my current supporters on screen now. Above all, Daniel Goldhorn, Karen Kuhlman, Magath, Ryan Emily, Something Capitalism Bad, Thomas R, and Weirdy Beardy. Bye-bye now.